All the notices, everything that Kingston essentially.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. And I'll just go these things. There are things that I think are important. The tested notice, especially when needs a pair of the acknowledgements of service. And then there's the recorded notice that's recorded in the registry. So it's just to show that it was recorded, which is required by the statute. So, okay, I can give those to the record when the time comes. Unless you
Good evening, folks. It's 6 o'clock. We're going to start the public hearings. And start with public hearing number 1. New application for marijuana cultivation facility for Faded CC LLC. Anyone you'd like to say?
Not really. We're existing medical facility. We've been operating for 2 years or so. We're just gonna have a co-use, adult use in the same space. So it's kind of status quo, same as before. We've been operating to rec standards prior anyway, with the assumption to move into this. So pretty easy swing for us.
Comments from the public?
Make a motion.
Board, questions, concerns? Nobody else? We'll close the public hearing. Public hearing number 2, pursuant to 17 MRS 2851-2859, dangerous building, 260 King Street, Oxford, Maine, map U06, lot 011. What do we want to start with? Kingston, perhaps, or do you want to hear from? Are you the property owner, sir?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to speak first, or do you want the code enforcement officer to speak first? I'll give you the opportunity.
I can speak first.
Kingston?
Yeah, so obviously why we're here today is this is actually here to determine whether or not it's up for demolition. We've got an engineer here, Jim Thibodeau, who's the original engineer since 2014, so he's actually got some photos that are enlarged for the public and the board to become reacquainted with. So I believe you have everything in your packets since the last meeting, speaking to why this should be classified as a dangerous building and demolished, or have be ordered to demolish it.
Okay. Sir, would you like to weigh in, or you want us to hear from the engineer first?
Hear from the engineer.
Okay.
Hi, Jim Thibodeau, professional engineer. As the code official said here, I came up here and previously inspected the property in 2014, wrote a report. At that time, the building was unsafe and it met the definition of a dangerous, unsafe condition as defined by the code of the town of Oxford as adopted. It's my understanding that the property owner was given opportunity between then and this past several months to make repairs. We revisited the property earlier late in 23, and I re-inspected, it does not look like anything of any substantial improvements or repairs were made. The building continues to meet the definition of unsafe, unsanitary, and dangerous, and is in imminent danger of collapse, in my opinion. There's rot throughout. There's vermin contamination. I brought some photos here. If the public would like to, these are just example photographs. I think this,
We have them in our package.
you have them in your package. And as folks can see, there's piles of vermin excrement, there's heavy mold contamination, widespread rot and deterioration of the structural frame. The floor framing is so rotted that it is deflected down, and we had to be careful walking around the building as to not fall through the floor. Portions of the building have collapsed. I inspected the entire building. In my opinion, it is not feasible, economically feasible, to repair the structure. It is not safe to even be in it. So I recommended it be demolished in accordance with the code, and I wrote a report to that effect, put my engineering seal on it. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Randy yet? Sir, would you like to speak now?
Yes. According to this, it says interested parties, the state of Herman card. I don't see where the estate of Herman card has anything to do with this.
Actually, and that brings up sort of one of my roles in this. I'm Mark Bauer, the town attorney, and I'm here tonight to advise the board on the decision-making process and the written decision. So, under the statute, what's required is a notice of public hearing, and that's been attested by the town clerk, so that should go into the record as the notice. That notice was served on 3 parties, one being the property owner, Leon Morse, and then you're also required to serve it on any quote-unquote parties in interest under the statute, and that means anyone who has maybe a lien on the property or a lien interest that's recorded in the registry. And so there was a judgment lien by the estate of Herman Card that had been recorded in the registry against any property owned by Mr. Morse in Oxford County. And so that's why his attorney was served with the notice of public hearing, just because of that lien. The state of Maine, Maine Revenue Services was also provided with a copy of the notice because of a state tax lien. So those 3 things will also go into the record. And then finally, this notice of public hearing was also recorded in the registry of deeds to put anybody who was researching the title on notice that this was happening tonight. So those 3 things. So that's just the answer to the question as to why the estate of Herman Card was served with the notice of the public hearing.
Good. Anything else, sir?
So what's the lien all about for the estate?
That I don't know. It's just it's recorded in the registry. It appeared to have been a lawsuit at some point between yourself and the estate of Herman Card, and there was a judgment that was entered and then recorded in the registry, which created a lien. That's not really before the Board of Selectmen tonight. That's a obviously a private matter between you and the estate. It's just that the board was required to serve that entity notice of this hearing tonight because of the fact that there's a lien recorded in the registry.
I understand that. I don't understand why we've been going through this for a long period of time, and I just got a revaluation on my property, and they doubled the value of my house. If you knew you were going to be going through this, why would they revalue my house at that amount?
That's a good question.
So, yeah, I mean, so we did just go through a reval here in town just recently. So the reval company was instructed to go through all of the properties in town and calculate those values. So, as I would say to anybody, obviously the situation is a little bit unique. If your property you feel is overvalued, then you file for an abatement, but, you know, obviously that's a little bit of a different situation, so. But they didn't have any instructions they valued things at what they felt were valued at based on the land value and location and all those other factors that they use, so.
And the only thing I would add is that the valuation of the property doesn't have anything to do with your determination tonight as to whether it's a dangerous building under the statute that the code enforcement officer and the engineer were referencing.
So your engineer said he went up and looked at that in 2014, right?
Correct.
And at that point in time, I was told to put a roof on the building because the front porch roof caved in. I put a new roof on the building.
Well, I think we can look back, we can look backwards at 2014, but I think it's the more recent concerns that the board is addressing now, and that's you were just there most recently, and that's when you found the conditions that things are in now. So I think that's what's the concern at this point.
I have no problem with whatever you come up with tonight.
Anything else you'd like to say?
That'll be it.
Is there anybody here from Maine Revenue Services? Anybody here from the estate of Herman Card? Any members of the public that wish to speak? Pam, just need your name and
Claudette Pierce. I'm the adjacent neighbor, and it's been 2014 plus. It's been a long time. And while all the properties' taxes have increased, ours also has doubled, and I think it's barely doubled. It's been a while since our taxes have increased. The unfortunate part is if I put my home on the market, I'm not gonna get what it could be worth if the house standing next door was like the majority of the other homes in the area. And so we get penalized on the one hand having to pay higher taxes, but yet if I sell it, I'm not gonna get what I could. And we did have it on the market once upon a time and took it off because the realtor said, you're not gonna get your full price for this reason.
anybody else from the public? Board? Anyone? Anybody else wish to speak?
I just have a question. Can we just state for the record what documents you introduced? And we have the report that Mr. Thibodeau referenced that is the September 28th, 2023 report, correct? That's what's in the record. I just wanted to maybe just note for the record so it's recorded and everything what documents you as the code enforcement officer have introduced into the official record for this proceeding.
Yep, so I've got an initial notice here, when I came on board for notifying, Mr. Morris, it was August 16th, 2022, notifying him of violation of the section 4 property maintenance ordinance, and I think I also referenced the, Title 30A, section 4452. That was the first notice. Second notice was October 5th, 2022. Same, going into the same details, just a second notice. Third notice of violation, May 24th, 2023, referencing the same. And August 16, 2023 was the notice. Looks like that's where you came along and we did the consent to inspect dangerous building. notice to Mr. Morse. With the PD having delivered that August 16, 2023. So the same day. And that's what I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, just one question on that. Were any of those notices of violation appealed?
Don't believe
by-
they were.
By the property owner? Okay.
None, no.
I have a question, if I could. Process question.
Just need your name, ma'am.
Gary Heath, Heath, adjacent property owner. Process question. Your vote tonight, one way or the other, then what?
I'm not
So
exactly.
I'm gonna address that, sure. So the process here tonight is for the board to determine one way or the other whether it's a dangerous building. If they do determine that it's a dangerous building, the demolition order, and if they determine that demolition is the proper remedy, the demolition order would give a period of time in their discretion, for the property owner to remove the building. If the property owner does not remove the building, then the town has the option to do so and to bill the owner for the costs associated with that. If the owner does not pay the bill of costs within 30 days, then the town may assess that as a special tax on the property. So that's sort of the next steps. The order tonight, if it's a dangerous building, the order of demolition would be entered. Then a period of time would be given to the property owner to remove the building, at which time the town then could do it, bill the owner, and then tax the costs as a tax. That special tax is foreclosable the same as a municipal tax lien.
Ma'am.
What's the period of time given to the homeowner to have it?
That is up to the board to decide as to how long. It certainly would need to be at least as long as the period that you can appeal the decision. Obviously, you would want to demolish any building within that appeal period of time if there is an appeal of the decision. But it would be up to the board for discussion if that, and I can weigh in if you have any questions on that.
And that'll be addressed under business item 5.2 after the public hearings.
Anybody else? We'll close the public hearing. Call the Selectmen's meeting to order. Please join us in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Action on the minutes. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. Adjustments to the agenda?
Have nothing, sir?
Public comments. Lois.
Wrote them down so I don't forget them. I wondered if we have done anything about a fire chief. Do we have one yet?
Yep, we're still working on the process. You're gonna see that one big part of that process is the March vote on the retirement piece. So,
Oh, we have to wait for that. Oh, great. Okay. When you come across the railroad tracks on Whittemore and Station, there's a hole on the right-hand side. It's happened many times. I think it must be the trucks making the corner. And one lady put her car down in that. I can't imagine it came out, but it did. And I wondered, is that us that fixed that, or is that the railroad? Well, it better be somebody anyway, let's put it that way.
if it's right up next to the railroad tracks, then it would be the railroad, but I'll have Jim look at it and find out.
Adam, it does set back the tracks a little bit, but it's right on the edge of the road. I know what she's talking about.
Small hole.
About 42.
Give
them too fast around that corner.
And the drain coming out of the transfer station, as you go to make the curve to go into the transfer station, it was where the drain from the building came originally, and it was just basically a piece of PVC pipe they put in there. It's starting, not only is it always washed out, but it's starting to move the hill on the other side. So it really needs to have a culvert put in and be fixed. And that would be us, so. Yep. And the other one was, on our road, Robinson Hill, we had that Rob guy come and do the evaluation, didn't we? Did we put in what he said to put in?
As far as I remember. It was
I mean, the culverts are, well, this is what, the fourth or fifth time he filled it in again. I mean, the water just goes right up on the road and takes out, you're looking at the culvert. It takes out part of the road too. So I just wondered if there was something we didn't do right.
Well, who put the culvert in? Okay. Then that needs to be looked at again.
I just hate to see that road go because we won't ever get tar in my lifetime again. That's me. That's it.
Anybody else? Public comment?
I would like to talk about 2 preserves in the area. Is this the time to do so?
Certainly.
Wonderful.
Just need your name, ma'am.
Lee Dassler. I work with the Western Foothills Land Trust.
Do you live here in Oxford or somewhere else?
I live in Otisfield,
Okay.
and the Land Trust office is in Norway, but we serve a larger region, including the town box.
Okay.
And I didn't bring enough copies of anything. I just brought 5 for the Board of Selectmen. This is just a friendly visit because I hadn't been to one of your meetings before. And we just wanted to say we've got a wonderful preserve that I hope some of you have been to, the Smith Bridge Preserve off Allen Hill Road. That's, and I've got maps of that, of the trails there. And we're going to be purchasing another piece of property. The Smith Bridge Preserve was a Chadbourne Tree Farm parcel. And this next one that we're going to be buying was also a Chadbourne Tree Farm parcel. And this next one will close on February 15. It's 82.5 acres, and it's nearly adjacent. It's nearly adjacent to the Oxford Elementary School property, which is why we wanted to buy it. So as a nature-based classroom for the kids. It also has a stretch of the ITS 89 and the local snowmobile trail on it, but both of those will remain open. And in order to connect the school property to the property we're buying, we're getting a trail easement with wonderful John Crumpton, who's being really, really helpful. And we missed his birthday, so anyway. But we're really, really happy to have these 2 lovely preserves in the town of Oxford. Smith Bridge has been well received. People are using it. It's basically level, which is unusual for this area. So it's a really nice place to walk your dog or run or just take a stroll. And the new one that we're going to be getting, which we call Staple Stout because that was the previous owner. I don't know what its eventual name is going to be, but it's a very lovely piece as well with a little bit of frontage on the Little Androscoggin, about 1,200 feet from the Little Andro. So, just wanted to say hi to the town of Oxford.
Thank you.
And excited to provide a nature-based facility for the kids in the school. The principals all over it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks all. Hi.
Anybody else? Public comment? Closed public comment. Business items 5.1, review and approve new application marijuana cultivation facility for Faded CC LLC.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Those in favor? To vote. 5.2, dangerous building, 260 King Street, decision.
Make a motion to have it demolished.
So, the motion probably should be whether we deem it a dangerous building or not first.
I deem it a dangerous building, would be my motion.
Motion and a second, discussion.
I think we've given, since 214, I think that's a reasonable amount of time. That if you were gonna do anything, you'd had it done by now.
Anybody else?
Adam, are you going to recommend the time frame during this motion or?
Figured once
the
he's
second
done
one?
with his motion, I will recommend some time periods
Okay.
for moving forward.
Okay.
All those in favor? Let's vote.
So as far as addressing how long we want to allow the homeowner to have to demolish the building, I know that there's correct me if I'm wrong, 30-day appeal process that's available to the owner, so I don't think it would be advisable for the town to do anything within that first 30 days. When I look at the calendar and I think 90 days myself is reasonable. That gives time for a contractor, to be found and to be addressed and maybe even deal with any snow issues that are on the property. I don't know if the board's agreeable to 90 days or if it should be less or more. That would be my suggestion, is 90 days.
Make a motion to go with the 90-day deal.
Second. Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote.
All right, so the next, just to let you know, the next step, so we do, and I prepared a draft order of demolition tonight and filled it in as we went through the hearing. And an order of demolition is required, and that includes the 90-day period that you just talked about and approved. A lot of this is just sort of, legal requirements that the statute has, and then there's a separate document that's referenced in this that would be the findings of fact, and that goes through, some of the history of the property and the evidence that was discussed tonight. And so I guess my suggestion would be that I can email that to you right now or something, or have it somehow printed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
To you, okay.
If
And
you
then
email it to Kingston, he can take care of it.
it is a document, at least the document will be recorded in the registry, and it has to be served on the owner and any of the same parties and interests that were served with the notice of the hearing from tonight. And so it will need to be signed by all members of the board, and then attested by the clerk. So I will go ahead and email that to you. You can all, if you want, we could, just maybe
Take like a 2-minute recess.
or table this and then come back to it, or whatever your pleasure would be. So, or just a quick recess would be probably fine.
Would that be okay to table it until move it to the last of the business items, then we can get through the abatements and such, and then bring this back up at the end?
Just to adopt the written decision, so that that's all set. You don't need me to come back at a later date.
We'll table until Kingston comes back with the printed copy.
Okay.
All right. Business item 5.3, review and approve renewal application for Ocean Pearl liquor license.
Seconded.
Moved in second, any discussion, any problems, chief?
Not at all.
All those in favor? It's a vote. 5.4, recreation hall rental rate discussion update. See Taylor, but.
Yep, so unfortunately, the rec director, she is apparently feeling quite under the weather. She contacted me a few hours ago, which seems like that's going around. So currently, as you see in there, it's $30 for the first hour, $10 for additional hours, and then there's a $25 kitchen fee. She's kind of put together a little bit of a print-off here that she was hoping to discuss tonight. She was suggesting $50 for the first hour, and then continuing on with the $10 for additional hours, and then leaving a kitchen fee. I see that when we look around some of our neighbors, or not neighbors, but some other towns, it seems to be somewhat all over the map. I see one that's 125 an hour. I see one that's 100. So if the board is interested in exploring upping the fee, or if you'd like to wait until the night when the rec director is able to be here and not ill, we can do that too.
No,
I thought we discussed that it was going to have a rate for the residents and then a rate for the non-resident.
Yeah, you did. You did mention that. Yeah, and that's not in here. So I think Yep, you're 100% correct.
So, why don't we just bring this back?
Table this for next meeting.
Okay.
Is that okay with it?
No, that's fine.
Don't you just send it here and get it on with?
5.5, abatement 1 for Oxford Solar 1, account 3193 in the amount of $62,675.36.
When was that submitted there? I think it said March.
We'll be looking at the solar one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just says it was submitted on time by April 1st, so I guess where did it end up?
Would you like the assessing agent to speak to this, or?
I would.
Sure, if she
For
has
that
something
one,
she'd like to.
that particular one, yes.
I think it's one of those things that kind of fell between the cracks. The document was filed on time, it was forwarded. We weren't able to receive an explanation of why it wasn't processed. It should have been applied, it should have been coded as tax exempt, it didn't happen. A bill was generated, that should not have been generated. We met the requirements for being tax exempt of over 5 megawatts.
So I had a question on the tax bill. There was $0 in the land value. And that assessment is all on building value. Is the land not taxable either?
Can I get back to that? I didn't look at the land valuation. I don't know why.
I mean, I don't know if
I
anybody
don't know
knows
if
whether
there's a different owner
they're.
and then separate bill. I specifically worked the solar energy portion of it.
I wonder if the land is owned by somebody else and the space
That
is
would be my-
leased.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that would be my thought, but I did not confirm that. So I just want to get back with more information. But I can tell you that the abatement for the solar array is applicable.
Mhm.
But technically, we really are on the hook for the other. I mean, you feel that they should get that, correct?
Absolutely, they met the requirements. Technically, they met the requirements, they filed the form on time. They filed the form late, it wouldn't apply, but they filed the form on time, and that's confirmed. And the folks who processed this information, because the data entry had been sort of outsourced for the special readout, it just did not get processed.
I'll make a motion that we give them the abatement. What? Should be abating all of it.
Because it's all non-taxable. It's all tax exempt.
Exactly. There's a,
The equipment is all tax exempt.
Panels and all that is taxed.
I didn't hear.
The panel, all of the equipment is tax exempt.
Yes, they met the requirements. If they had been over 5 megawatts, that wouldn't be the case, but they're under 5 megawatts. This is a legitimate, they're completely tax exempt.
Maybe something we need to
Gonna address that, yes?
We are, contact our legislative body
Yeah.
about adjusting that.
It's crazy.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Other than we'd like to confirm at some point that the land was assessed. By
Is that?
Oxford does receive some of this money back.
Oh, okay,
This
I
is
hear
state
you.
level mandate,
Yep.
so we do receive it from the
Is that a new program?
newer.
Newer. Set from, was it in place at the time that the facility was built?
The solar array?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to look. My inclination is to say yes, but I don't like saying that without dotting my i's and crossing my t's.
Well, yeah, I was thinking
Sharon?
I'm just wondering if we should request more information on that so that we can review this information
Certainly.
because of the amount of this.
It's similar to the one that you processed for Grover gun drilling, even though that was personal property, in that something that was tax exempt but not coded as tax exempt.
So the other thing I would be looking at is, when documents like that are received, they're usually date stamped in. I would like to see all of that information, just for my benefit because of this amount, to make sure that those documents were date stamped prior to the date
Okay.
that they were due.
If it was date stamped, it might have been emailed. I can certainly go through Donna's emails and see if it was.
So however this information would have been received for this request, if it came by email, that would be the date used. If it came by mail, all mail is date stamped when it comes in the office. So I think that's very important to have, just to confirm that information. Thank you. That's what I'm requesting anyway. DC.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the abatement? One. All those opposed? Four. Certainly bring it back when you have that information that we're looking for.
So we'll put it on the next meeting, is that the consent? Okay.
And if that's on there, just make sure that it's correct. If it's coming back.
Yeah.
So all the solar farms that we have in the town of Oxford are all tax exempt.
Solar farms,
The ones that we have in Oxford, are they all exempt?
if they're under a certain wattage, they are, yes.
You want me to bring that information to the next meeting?
As much of that information as you can get on what would be exempt, whether it's the property, the land, the requirements to reach that threshold.
Sure.
But when you mentioned Grover gun drilling, wasn't that better?
Did
What,
I-
the rebate we gave Grover gun drilling, wasn't that on their equipment, the better program?
Yes.
Yes. So you're telling me that the solar panels are on better?
This is a Maine mandate. This is a state mandate.
Thank you.
It's their form, it's their abatement. I can bring you information on the program.
5.6, abatement 13 for Brian and Amanda Bossy. Account 1508 in the amount of $1,804.
The home is still under construction.
I don't want to hear.
The home is still under
It
construction?
is still under construction. I was out there in November. And it was, the state of it in November was well under the state expectation that had been assigned back in April.
Make motion to approve the abatement.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote. Abatement 14 for Andrew and Elise Christie, account 461 in the amount of $84.48.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Let's vote. Abatement 15 for Andrew and Elise Christie, account 489, in the amount of $556.16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote. 5.9 abatement for 16 for Jack Ring, account 3045, in the amount of $360.80.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor? Let's vote. 5.10, abatement 17 for Jason and Kelsey Kimball, account 1078 and 1065, in the amount of $204.67. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor? Let's vote. Department head report. Do we wanna, let's go back to Kingston.
I'm just gonna pass out here, that's the original design, and then I'll have copies of the rest of the board members. Just to take a quick look at, see if anything looks out of place. And again, this is the document that will be recorded and then served on the owner and any parties in interest, once it's attested by the town clerk.
And that reflects the 90 days that the board voted on. Mark?
Yep, oh, sorry, yeah, that does reflect 90 days, a 90-day period for the owner to resolve or take care of the demolition. And then if that does not happen, as of the 91st day, the town can then cause that to occur.
So if they like the way the document's drafted, is it proper for them to make a motion to adopt as written?
It would be, yes.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Let's vote. Okay.
Is there anything further that should be done with this this evening? As far as business that the select board has to do tonight on this?
No, that, your job is done now that you've approved you've taken the vote and you've approved the written decision. The next thing I can get from you the attested copy, sort of after the fact, and then I'll take care of recording it and so having it served by the sheriff on the owner and parties in interest, so, thank you.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Morris? Department head report. Chief Jack.
Yeah, so the police chief is here. Inside of your packets, you'll see that, I know we just did the walkthrough of the police department. You'll see the 10-year capital plan that the chief and I have worked on is in there. You can spread them apart, you can see the whole thing. Biggest things of note is that this year, the police chief is going to be looking to replace one of the Ford Explorers, which is a 2018, and projecting an amount. We're using a placeholder of $60,000. Also, and then vehicle and equipment wise. Also looking at replacing department tasers, as well as one ballistic vest. So those are the capital requests for this year. But as you can see, the police department's biggest expenses, if you will, is replacing vehicles. We've kind of paced those out over a 5-year period, cycling through those. One of the SUVs would like to discuss the idea of changing that into a pickup truck at some point as well. That would give the department 2 pickup trucks. So those are just things for the future. But the biggest thing is this year, replacing one of the Ford Explorers, replacing some tasers, and replacing a ballistic vest. I believe the chief had a couple comments on tasers, on why we need to replace those. They're old.
Yeah, they're over 10 years old. And like I was saying earlier, the technology and the data that they have is getting to the point it's not going to be supported anymore by taser. I think Scott mentioned, or somebody mentioned, they're not able to manufacture batteries for the model that we have now.
I don't know if the board had any questions or thoughts that they'd like to discuss on the plan or what they saw in the walkthrough with the chief?
I guess I'd like to, the whole mechanical room and now their servers are in there has been a cluster from day one. We have, I mean, we have yearly inspection of the sprinkler system, we have yearly, you know, the boilers in there, all the HVAC systems in there. It's like, to me, it doesn't make sense for that to be in there. It's not a climate controlled room anyways. It doesn't really go well for servers and stuff. So now the fire department has lost an office, so we're losing, you know, we're losing space to it. I don't know. I think we need to look in to see where that stuff can be put, and whether it's that closet in that office where it's locked anyways, if it can go in there, and I believe that's, we could either duct that into the HVAC system so it controls.
You know how much it would cost to move all that?
And the only reason I say that, because it's right there on that wall.
Yeah.
Everything could just go from the boiler room to that closet. It just becomes always has been a pain.
Yeah, we had talked about maybe gating that off inside the boiler room too.
Yeah.
That was an option, I think as well, so.
And the boiler we get is every time we have a BLS inspection, they get us for stuff stored in the boiler room, and it's just, I think for like his equipment as well as the fire and rescue side, that something a little bit better there is to handle that equipment should be looked at.
If that was something we were doing, would that be the police department budget, would that be the public safety building?
I think it'd be public safety.
Combination of,
I think it'd be the public safety buildings. I mean, that's what we've been doing all the repairs out of and so forth,
Yep.
so.
how many tasers did you say, Chief?
5. One for each patrol, one for the sergeant.
Anybody else need tasers? New tasers, local towns, sheriff's office? I think
We could check out
they
a
have
couple of the older ones. I
given
would.
discounts on larger local purchases. It's not huge, but it is.
Yeah.
I think they have had some.
At this point, the taser's kind of the only game in town, is it not? I mean,
It
it's not-
really is, yeah, to my knowledge.
I don't know if another one.
Yeah, I don't know if any others that any other departments are carrying or available.
We've got some knockoff civilian you can buy in a surplus store, but not this equipment or not.
Right. Because as you know, it's important to be able to download the information from when they're used, so we know how long the tase was, the duration of that tase, and all of that, so.
Yep.
And we have the software for all that.
Well, they're an invaluable tool, for sure.
Very.
The building looked good, it looked clean, organized. Anybody else?
Well, couldn't we at least look into what it would cost to change that room over, like Scott's saying, you know, I mean, get some idea what we're talking? If you can swap it from one wall to the other, would it work or wouldn't it work?
Right.
I mean, we don't have to at least,
Nothing to lose, just looking at it.
nothing to lose, take a look at it. That way we'd know what we were talking about when we're trying to put the budget together.
Yep.
And I guess the other thing for me is on the vehicle replacement, which I'm all for, but, we just, what were we, 63 total
For the truck,
for the truck?
with the equipment, right in that area.
So I'm just, and the reason I say that, Chief, is because I'm looking at, you've got the vehicles in there for 60,000, we know fully outfitted they're going to be, especially 4 years down the road. And I think a more realistic, by that time, I guess would be probably 70, 75.
We're probably getting there.
So.
We kind of just threw in a ballpark.
And I
figure.
understand that it's a fluid number, but.
Yeah.
Even for this year, at 60,000, I think we're gonna, be more than
Well, I know that there was some talk even just now about, the different SUV choices and so forth, and I also think that we need to be open to, I hate to say, what we can get, but the difference, whether that be a Dodge Durango or a Ford Explorer or even a Chevy Tahoe, I mean, depending on what's available
And sometimes that's the biggest question, is what is available.
Yeah. Are you recommending, Mr. Hunter, that we should change the 60,000 for this?
I think
This year?
for this budget season, I think that 60,000, we probably,
It's probably conservative, Scott.
Yeah.
I agree.
I put it at least 70. Because there's nothing in this car, there's nothing that, the cage, nothing.
None of it would retrofit,
Yeah.
right?
None of the lights, not that that's a huge savings, but.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of the deck lights could, but,
Radio.
our radios are 15, 18 years old.
So they've been repurposed a couple times.
Oh, yes, I've seen numerous cars.
And that's one of the reasons that those chargers were a little bit expensive to set up, is because the things that stuff had been ripped out and hacked up and recycled since the days of the Crown Victorias, I think. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
it's getting a little bit punchy.
Okay. Anything else?
Other than that, the guys have been working the grants. Our OUI grant's been very successful. They've made numerous arrests out of that. And of course, it gives them a chance to get some overtime and shows the community, I think, a little bit that we're being proactive and we're out there more than what we normally would be if we didn't have the grants, instead of just chasing complaints all the time. Just getting extra units that are visible. Do we all know what Route 26 is, especially on a Friday or Saturday?
Yep. Staffing.
Currently one down right now. I have hopeful prospects. And I'm also looking to hire a couple of new reserves. I've lost some recently. Actually, I only have one reserve left right now.
Mr. Littlefield?
Yep. So I'm looking to hire 2 to 3 reserves, along with the full-time position that we have right now.
Questions of the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Town manager report.
I just wanted to give a quick update that so we're continuing with the sewer grant program. I'm happy that we've had people coming in and asking questions, which is wonderful. We are now at 9 applications total, 7 have been approved, 2 of those 7 have been completed. The ones that have not been approved, Sharon has been in communication with the applicants on, getting what they need for supporting documentation and so forth, so those seem to be moving along. Reminder for March 5th, the election that day, of course everybody knows that's the presidential primary, but also we have the municipal item for the Maine State retirement piece, and that's to allow the full-time firefighter EMS personnel to be able to enroll in the public safety plan, the 1N plan. Now currently we only have 1 full-time position at the fire department, and that is the fire chief. That would allow the future fire chief to be able to enroll in the 1N public safety plan and not just the AN plan. So please, you can vote on that via absentee ballot, or you can show up on voting day and vote on it with that manner. Also, speaking of the elections and speaking to the town clerk, she is looking for 3 or 4 more election workers or ballot clerks. So if anybody is interested in being a ballot clerk, or you know anybody that might be interested in being a ballot clerk, if you can reach out to Wendy, that would be wonderful, please. Also, just a reminder, we have been getting some interest in the renovation of this end of the building, but looking for bids, and those are due by January 29th, and that is to remove these center walls to make this one larger room. So just those reminders. So that's what I have.
Question on the ballot clerk, that's an all-day, somebody's gonna be here 8 to 8. And there's
Well,
a-
not necessarily 8 to 8, I mean,
Oh,
when
you
we
can-
have
You can break it up.
Yep.
Is there a stipend for that?
Yes, we're gonna incorporate the stipend this year to pay down
Any questions from the board?
Is there any luck on the guy with the mailbox?
Mailbox.
One that's not on the edge of the road on the.
Shorter.
I did send an officer up there, and when they went up, they couldn't find anybody home at the time, and he was going back, and I don't know what the results of that was.
It is shorter.
So they must have
Shot
moved
it?
it.
I looked at it today when I drove by it. It was way out over the tar, and now it's where they told
Because
us.
the snow's there. I don't think it's been shot. Maybe it is.
I
I
don't-
won't swear to it. I didn't measure
Business
it.
cards was left at their houses. We left business cards at their houses to call.
I think we probably knew what was discussed here before we even got home.
Oh, I don't.
Any other selectmen items? Scott?
Just because you gotta sneak out again, the intersection 121 Station Road, those snowbanks, they get in there. So just for something, Jim, keep an eye on that. For people in smaller vehicles.
Yeah, you can't see
You can't
anything.
see either way, so.
Yeah, I had somebody else earlier today mention another intersection, and he was going out, or gonna be going out and trying to chop the tops off of some of these, so.
See there even without snowbanks.
He did take down the end of the Skeetville Road
Yeah.
on 26, and you can see that he did a good job there, and thank him for getting all of the sidewalks on King Street done today.
Yep, yep, when I reached out to him, he was doing it.
Colby?
Did you get a call from our favorite person in the neighborhood?
Favorite person in the neighborhood?
Who was plowing the roads?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
and Jim actually, that was taken care of, and Jim also made contact with him and spoke to him, if I'm understanding correctly, so, yes.
Text from.
But that was yesterday. Yep, yep, it's been taken care of.
Did we get the sewer in at the rec building?
We're still working on it, it's not done yet.
Okay. I wouldn't be written too much of, they're really pushing that one little septic system there.
It's holding strong.
It isn't strong, that's the problem. So I, you know. But are you still down to just the 2 bathrooms?
I don't
Or
have.
is there just one?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm not sure what the bathroom situation is right now. I know that Xenia and Jim and Kayla have been working on trying to get that finalized. I know that there was some groundwork that was done, and something to do with piping or something was the last that it was being discussed, so.
Did the sewer pickup get in an accident?
The sewer pickup truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they were plowing the yard, they caught the little guardrail there, so it dented up the inside of the bed a little bit there.
Small down. Okay.
It's not necessarily a person, but a process. So, it's getting to be that time of year to look at who we're gonna dedicate the town report to.
Mhm.
Generally, the select board will vote on who that will be, so that's not gonna happen tonight, so don't get excited. But we all need to be on the same page on what the process is for that. And I'm the newcomer here, so I would say, I believe it's always been an Oxford resident. I looked at the list, not last year, the year before, and all the prior recipients. I don't think we've ever given it to a non-resident, somebody that doesn't live in Oxford. And other criteria for that, a lot of times it's been people that are in public service, or that have served on different boards, or just done whatever they've done to be a good citizen in the town. My recommendation is that we all individually come up with who we think might be a good recipient, and we bring that together, and we can discuss it and take a vote. Anybody else want?
No, I'm on page with you.
Does anybody know if we've ever given it to somebody that wasn't a resident?
I'm not aware that we have, and it should be, it's our town report. It should be someone who has, been very involved in our town in various areas.
We ever given it to John Crumpton?
Yes.
I thought we had.
Yeah.
Yep, 5 or 6 years ago. I have the list from
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
I would appreciate
To
that.
that date.
Would you like that list
Ms.
emailed
Pike?
out?
Yes.
Ms.
I
Pike
think
has
you must have that.
been a recipient?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Lois has.
Maybe, yeah, if you could get us a copy of that, 'cause I forget who we did what with.
Yes.
Yeah, the town clerk will email the list of everybody in there.
Other than that, I don't have anything else.
I'm good.
Reports? Thank you, folks.
So let's take it. One right off.
That's actually this Citizens of Oxford County are looking for it.
Here's all the abatements.
Oh, yeah, there's, I can't believe you find your back. I'm gonna put my foot on your wheel. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. The leverage, thanks for being a leverage. Leverage too.
Told you who it was. They were in jail for it.
Her name is Barbara. She's in this house. June lives in this house. Barbara lives in Jeanette Carson's son.
Died 2 days later.
Well. Have a good night.
You as well, thank you.
Good.
Did you pull that one out?
What's that?
The abatement for the.
Solar?
Yeah.
That's right over here.
You can draft that legislation for next year, change that.
No, I have to say, ask for that information.
What's that?
I was told that in the gun drilling one, that their actual request did not cover and that's why I understand, I asked for, I want to see the big stamp. It's not that I want to question somebody, but when you have two assessors taking this information, and whenever that kind of information comes in, it needs to be people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not.
Donna's long time.
Those are going to go back to the.
Have a good night. Stay warm.
Adam, were you able to find out anything to do with you on the traffic lights?
On the traffic lights. I did reach out, and I don't think I've received any replies, so I will. You're talking, it was about the cost of them, right? The maintenance
Yeah,
cost.
we're gonna be required to maintain them
Yep.
afterwards. Which, for me, is just as long as we can make sure it's in the budget.
Yep.
We are gonna.
I don't know why you can get on the internet here.
No, I actually stopped at a doctor.
My first one, that's my Ryan. That's his, my grandson died. That's his signature on his license. That's his middle finger, right fingerprint. Angel. I always thought I did. But I did that in December to mark a year.
Here, I call it Pio, she couldn't try to tell you. I looked at it, they tell what it is.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Showing off tattoos over there. I'll be showing all his tattoos. Those are H spots.
I was gonna say, every tattoo you see on the spot is what God gave you. You know what? What tattoos you see on the spot is what God gave you.
Motion,
Make motion to sign 5966.
Second.
motion second, all in favor? Vote.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Sure, you good as
All in
well?
favor?
Aldi.
Scott, Floyd, and Sharon, and then.
We gotta teach you shorthand.
It's called Wendy hand.
It's my hand.
Anybody even know what shorthand is anymore?
Yeah.
I do write some shorthand,
Do you?
I think so.
like
I still remember my shorthand.
going,
Mother.
yeah, the little short, you know, like from,
I
and.
think I asked why she was writing before.
Oh.
That was probably
Part of years ago, I had to use it on jobs I had.
Yeah, I had to use
thought
my
she
job,
wrote it
they
so we-
didn't, no shorthand, you had to
So
go
we
with
boys
this
couldn't read
yellow
what she
book
was
and
writing,
everything,
that's
yeah.
what I thought.
Didn't know that.
Because we couldn't.
Because,
I don't know, I
Where
don't
you
know
get
which
that
one
bad
anyway.
for you?
We'll move back out.
I have a new favorite.